The drama surrounding this featherweight world title clash began long before the opening bell, but once the fighters stepped into the ring in Liverpool, it quickly became clear that the night would deliver something unforgettable. The arena was alive with anticipation as the undefeated champion Nick Ball prepared to defend his crown against the relentless American challenger Brandon Figueroa. The atmosphere on the banks of the River Mersey was electric, the crowd roaring with expectation as two aggressive, action-packed fighters prepared to collide in what promised to be a high-octane battle. Before the fight began, the referee gathered both men in the center of the ring, laying down the rules that would govern the contest. Punches must stay above the waistband, breaks must be respected, and above all, the fighters must protect themselves at all times. With a quick touch of gloves and a final word of encouragement, the stage was set. Around them, thousands of fans filled the arena, sensing they were about to witness something special. From the opening seconds, the contrast between the two fighters was impossible to ignore. Ball, compact and explosive, stood several inches shorter than his opponent, yet he carried himself with the confidence of a champion who had already proven his worth against elite competition. Figueroa, tall, rangy, and fighting out of the southpaw stance, looked every bit the dangerous challenger. A former champion in two weight divisions, he had built a reputation as one of boxing's most relentless volume punchers, a fighter who could throw punches at a pace few opponents could match. The first round began cautiously, each man studying the other. But it didn't take long for the tension to break. Ball darted forward with his trademark aggression, closing the distance quickly and firing sharp punches from unexpected angles. Almost immediately, he found success with a perfectly timed uppercut, snapping Figueroa's head upward and drawing a roar from the Liverpool crowd. It was a shot his team had clearly drilled in training, a weapon designed specifically to counter the taller man's reach advantage. Figueroa, however, was unfazed. Known as the Heartbreaker, the Texan had built his career on pressure and endurance. He responded with a steady stream of punches, using his longer arms to keep Ball at range while searching for openings to the body. Blood soon appeared on the bridge of his nose, evidence that Ball's shots were landing cleanly, yet the American showed no sign of slowing down. The early rounds quickly settled into a fascinating tactical battle. Ball used his low center of gravity and explosive footwork to leap inside Figueroa's reach, unleashing short, sharp combinations before slipping away. Figueroa, in contrast, relied on volume and persistence. Even when his punches didn't land cleanly, they forced Ball to stay defensive, creating the impression of constant pressure. By the third round, the pace had already become grueling. Both fighters were throwing with intent, and the crowd sensed the momentum shifting back and forth with every exchange. Ball's uppercut continued to find its mark, sneaking through the guard again and again. But Figueroa's relentless work rate meant the champion could never truly relax. Analysts watching from ringside began to note the subtle dynamics of the fight. Ball's punches were clearly the cleaner and more powerful shots, the kind that caught the judges' attention. Yet Figueroa was throwing significantly more punches, often doubling the champion's output in a round. The question hovering over the contest was simple but crucial. Would the judges favor quality or quantity? As the fight moved into the middle rounds, the physical toll became increasingly visible. Ball's nose began to bleed, and his breathing grew heavier, signs that Figueroa's bodywork was beginning to have an effect. Meanwhile, the challenger seemed to be finding a rhythm. His punches were coming faster, his pressure growing more constant. Still, Ball refused to surrender control. Whenever Figueroa pushed forward, the champion responded with sharp counters. A crisp right hand here, a perfectly timed uppercut there, each moment reminding everyone why Ball had risen to the top of the featherweight division. His speed and accuracy often cut through the American's offense like lightning. The sixth round became a turning point of sorts. Ball delivered a series of clean combinations that momentarily halted Figueroa's advance. The crowd erupted, sensing their hometown hero was regaining control. Yet even then, Figueroa kept moving forward, absorbing the shots and continuing to throw punches. That relentless persistence was the defining trait of his career. Throughout his journey in professional boxing, Figueroa had built a reputation for wearing opponents down over time. He wasn't always the fastest or the most technically refined fighter in the ring, but his engine seemed endless. If a fight became a war of attrition, he often found himself standing stronger in the later rounds. As the championship rounds approached, that reputation began to show its value. The 8th and 9th rounds saw Figueroa increasing his output once again, digging hooks into Ball's body and forcing the champion to fight at a pace that grew increasingly difficult to maintain. The judges' scorecards were becoming harder to predict. Some observers believed Ball's precision and sharper punches had earned him the lead. Others argued that Figueroa's higher volume and relentless aggression were winning rounds in the eyes of the officials. Inside the ring, neither fighter appeared willing to leave the outcome in doubt. The exchanges grew more intense, more desperate, as both men sensed the fight entering its decisive phase. By the 10th and 11th rounds, exhaustion was evident on both sides. Sweat flew from their bodies with every punch. Their chests heaved with the effort of sustaining such a brutal pace. Yet somehow, the action refused to slow down. Ball continued to land crisp counters, particularly with his jab and right hand. His speed remained a dangerous weapon, and more than once he caught Figueroa walking into a perfectly timed shot. But the American refused to retreat. Again and again, he marched forward, throwing punches and forcing the champion into exchanges. It was the kind of fight fans dream of, two warriors pushing each other to the limit, neither willing to yield. Then came the final round. By this point, the fight felt as if it had already gone through multiple turning points. But what happened next would change everything. With the clock ticking down and both fighters searching for a decisive moment, Figueroa suddenly found an opening. A powerful combination landed cleanly, catching Ball off guard and sending him crashing to the canvas. The crowd gasped as the champion struggled to regain his footing. Ball rose bravely, determined to continue, but the momentum had shifted dramatically. Figueroa sensed the opportunity and surged forward with everything he had left. Punch after punch rained down as the American attempted to finish the fight. Moments later, the dramatic conclusion arrived. Ball, overwhelmed by the onslaught, was sent through the ropes as the referee stepped in to halt the action. Just like that, the contest was over. In a stunning twist, Brandon Figueroa had reclaimed World Championship glory, defeating the previously unbeaten Nick Ball in front of his own fans. The arena, once roaring with support for the champion, fell into stunned silence before gradually acknowledging the incredible performance they had just witnessed. It had been a fight filled with drama, courage, and relentless action. Exactly the kind of contest that reminds everyone why boxing remains one of the most compelling sports in the world. As medical staff attended to Ball and Figueroa celebrated in the corner, the reality of the moment settled in. A new chapter had been written in the featherweight division, and it had come in the most dramatic way possible. Fights like this are rare, two elite fighters pushing each other beyond their limits until the very final seconds. And on this unforgettable night in Liverpool, that is exactly what happened. Now the big question is for you. Did you think Figueroa deserved the victory, or do you believe Nick Ball was winning the fight before that final round knockout? And what should be next for both fighters after such an incredible battle? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more dramatic boxing stories like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next big fight story.